I'll be going through the summative section for your chapter 14 periodic table. So let's take a look here. The elements in the periodic table are arranged in order of their atomic number, which is the something like the IC number of the element. Okay, the IC number of it. Reactivity, we normally talk about it when it's going down the group. Period of elements in the periodic table is a vertical row is wrong because vertical row is like that downwards. And these are groups, not periods. Alright, consists of elements with similar physical properties. That is not true. Consists of elements with the same number of electron shells. True. If you're in period 1, you only have 1 electron shell. If you're in period 2, you have 2 electron shells, and so on and so forth. Shows increasing metallic properties from left to right. So that's not true because from left to right, it becomes increasingly non-metallic. So D is also not true. Let's move on. Question 3. The elements sodium and chlorine are in the same period because elements in the same period have the same number of electron shells. Okay, that's the only reason. Same period has the same number of electron shells. Which pair of elements belongs to the same group in the periodic table? You just need to look at your periodic table and compare. Then you will find that sodium and rubidium are both in group 1. Question 5. Element X has the electronic configuration 285. So, which group in the periodic table is X in? Alright, so if you're in group 1, you have 1 valence electron. If you're in group 2, you have 2 valence electrons. If you're in group 5, you have 5 valence electrons. So the answer is C, group 5. So I don't even need to look at the periodic table. Question 6. Table shows proton numbers of 4 elements. Which statement is correct? So this one, I think you will need to look at your periodic table. Which is correct? W is a metal. I don't think W is a metal. If I'm not wrong, it is fluorine, is it? Cool. 9 electrons. 9 electrons is fluorine, correct. Okay, 11 electrons, I think is sodium. 17 and 19. Chlorine and potassium. So this is chlorine, this is potassium. So W is a metal. No, fluorine is not a metal, it's a non-metal. Draw your staircase, zero boron. X is more reactive than Z. So down the group for group 1, reactivity increases. Okay, sodium is higher up in the group compared to potassium. Okay, so I think lithium is higher up here, right? Sorry, this is sodium is Na, sodium is Na. Okay, so potassium is more reactive than sodium. That means Z is more reactive than X, so statement B is not true. W is more reactive than Y. So for W and Y, they are your halogens in group 7. So in group 7, down the group reactivity decreases. Okay, group 1, down the group reactivity increases. Group 7, halogens, down the group reactivity decreases. So W is more reactive than Y because down the group reactivity decreases. So higher up the group, that means it's more reactive. Alright, so C is correct. Y and Z are in the same period. If you were to compare, you will realize that they are in different periods. Okay, so if you want, you can write it out. The electronic configuration is 287. Potassium electronic configuration is 2881. See, there are 4 electron shells for element Z. That means it's in period 4. 3 electron shells for element Y. That means it's in period 3. So they are not in the same period. So the only correct answer is C. Question 7. Element Y belongs to group 1 in the periodic table. So it's in group 1, your sodium, potassium, that group. Which is the not likely property of Y? Group 1, they are your alkali metals. Okay, it can displace hydrogen from cold water. So that is one of the reactions of elements in group 1. So if we are not sure, we can refer to our table here. Let me just search for it. Hang on. Okay, group 1 elements are able to react with your water. Okay, to form alkalis and hydrogen gas. So it can displace hydrogen. Okay, so hydrogen gas is made up of 2 hydrogen atoms. Okay, because I realized that some of you say that it forms hydrogen ions, which is not true. Hydrogen gas is made up of 2 hydrogen atoms that are chemically bonded through covalent bonding. Okay, so let's go back to our question. Okay, can displace hydrogen from water or cold water. It forms salts with elements in group 7. So group 7, we have things like your chlorine, chlorine, bromine. Alright, so in group 1, for example, I have sodium. Sodium can form a salt with chloride. Okay, Na plus here minus, then I'll form sodium chloride. This is a salt, your cation and anion. So that's also true. It forms an alkali with formula YOH2. It will never ever happen, right? Because Y is in group 1. So the charge for Y is plus. Charge for hydroxide is minus. So the only alkali you form is YOH. Okay, you never have this 2 here because the charge is only plus 1. So D is wrong. Alright, so answer is D. Next. Which correctly describes the solution form and the gas given off when a group 1 metal reacts with water? So the solution form is hydroxide, right? So it's definitely alkaline solution being formed. So it's either B or D. The gas given off just now, we found out it is hydrogen. Right, and if you recall, hydrogen gas is considered neutral. Okay, answer is B. Astatine is in group 7. Okay, so astatine is actually quite low in group 7. Its proton number is greater than iodine. So iodine is probably here, astatine is below. Let me just draw it properly. Iodine, if it's here, astatine is probably below. Astatine is expected to be less reactive than iodine because for halogens, group 7, reactivity decreases down the group, opposite of group 1. Okay, so the answer is definitely A. Okay, and down the group, it becomes more higher, will have a higher melting and boiling point, it becomes solid down the group. Okay, so at those elements at a higher part of the group, like fluorine, chlorine, yeah, they exist as gas. Okay, so answer is A. It can't be B, C, or D because this means that it's more reactive. But we learned that the more reactive one can displace a less reactive one. Okay, from its salt. But this is astatine is less reactive, so it cannot displace iodine. Only iodine can displace astatine from its salt. Question 10. Which is not true of group 0 elements? They are definitely inactive, that's why they can exist as atoms on their own. They don't need to chemically combine with any other element. They exist as monoatomic gases. Okay, their melting points and boiling points increases down the group. That's true. They are colored odorless gas. That is not necessarily true. Okay, they are not colored odorless gases. Alright, so the best answer would be B. Group 7, they are called halogens. Some must memorize. Explain, referring to electronic structure, why they belong to the same group. So like I said many times, group 1, they have the same number of valence electrons. They have 1 valence electrons. Group 2, 2 valence electrons. Group 3, 3 valence electrons. Okay, so group 7 with 7 valence electrons. So elements in the same group have the same number of valence electrons. Arrange these elements in order of increasing chemical reactivities. Okay, so the elements are the ones that are here. So, increasing order. So we learned that down the group reactivity decreases. So it has to be from the bottom part of the group to the highest part of the group. Melting points. Okay, melting points will increase down the group. So it's from the highest part of the group to the lowest part of the group. Fluorine displaces bromine from a solution of potassium bromide. So we learned that the more reactive halogen can kick out a less reactive halogen from its salt. Change color. Okay, anyway, so fluorine will kick out bromide here. Right, that's why I will end up getting potassium fluoride instead of potassium bromide. Then now I kick out bromine, so I'll kick out the bromide from here, so I'll get bromine gas. So you just need to make sure the equation is balanced. Okay, so this one shows you how it's reacting. In this case, the bromine is in the solution. Okay, that's why we write aqueous here. Name one other element in group 7. So you just need to name another element that is more reactive. Okay, that can displace bromine. So just choose one of the elements in group 7 that is higher up in the periodic table, higher than bromine. So chlorine is higher up in the group compared to bromine. Question 12. A new element, magnesium, is discovered. It's a diatomic gas. is reactive and poisonous. It can dissolve in water to form acidic solution. So if it's forming acidic solution, it's probably a non-metal. Okay, if it's metal, then it'll form alkaline solution. So it's non-metal. Magnesium can react violently with molten sodium to form a white solid. Okay, so which group in periodic table is magnesium likely to fall in? Okay, so if we just recall what we learned about group 7, group 7, it can react with metals. Okay, so it's able to react with metals to form ionic compounds. So we go back to the question. Sorry, my laptop's a bit slow. It can react with metals, for example, sodium, to form a white solid. Okay, so which group can it fall in? Group 7, which can react with metals. I just showed you just now. Formula, if it's Ma, if it's in group 7, it needs one more electron to be stable. So all the elements in the group A will form ions with a charge of -1. So it'll be Ma minus. And using the symbol Ma, write a balanced chemical equation to show reaction with sodium. So if you think if it looks confusing, you can imagine I react sodium with chlorine gas, for example. Okay, then I'll get sodium. This is just an example to make it easier to understand. Sodium chloride. Alright, then I just need to balance. If I have 2 chlorine here, I should have 2 on the right side. So I have 2 sodium on my right. I need to have 2 sodium on my left. Okay, so this is what is actually happening. Just that I said my element is something new, is magnesium. So I just need to change this Cl to Ma. Alright. So it's just fictional element lah. There's no such thing as magnesium. Alright, that's it for chapter 14. So for this chapter, I think you just need to revise what the trends are and know how they react in order to know how to do these questions. If you have any further questions, feel free to let me know and I will help you. Okay, thank you.